Ooh, that looks tasty.
Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is here with Jeff Morrow, the president of Slugfest Games, which is, as you probably know, responsible for the Red Dragon Inn universe and some other games as well. But they have coming up their 50th deck for Red Dragon Inn. And I've been a fan of Red Dragon Inn for quite some time. And I was playing a game of Gloomhaven last night with my wife, and she actually has named her character Gog.
Yes.
And was talking about how much she likes smashing. And she stopped and said that the reason she started playing more games is because I introduced her to Red Dragon Inn once, and she liked Gog because he was nice and was only hurting people because he was loving them so much. And that's the only character she would play for about 3 years.
Oh, have we got a game for you, man?
Until she finally branched out. And she just told me that last night, that it occurred to her that that's why she started enjoying games. And she's the one that told me months ago, if only she could play Gog in a dungeon crawl.
Oh, man, have we got a game for you?
But to dive right into where we started, because the first thing that's coming is character 50. So
Yes.
Red Dragon Inn is about to launch its 50th deck. Now this includes 8 big boxes, a bunch of single decks, 2 different versions of Gambling I'm In. I may be a nerd and have them both. And it doesn't even include Battle for Greyport. So when you joined Slugfest, Red Dragon Inn was already a thing.
Yep.
Were there existing plans out there for it, or you just saw it and you guys said, let's keep going?
Mostly the latter, because as you probably know in the games industry, you don't plan huge successes, right? You pick up a game when it's going well and you do more with it. As you know, most games aren't runaway successes, and so what happened in the early days of the Red Dragon Inn? So it's good that you mentioned that when I joined in, it was already underway, because none of the founding members of Slugfest Games are actually still with the company. They've all moved on to do other things, but the rest of us came on at various points, and now so the entire staff is turned over the 14 or whatever it is year lifespan of the company. But when they first came up with the Red Dragon Inn, they thought it was fun. They were working on, in fact, 6 characters at the same time that ended up being the original 4 in the Red Dragon Inn 1, plus I believe it was Gog and Eve, I think. Don't quote me on that. But so they released the first game, and it sold pretty well. It sold out of its 5,000 print run in about a year, which is pretty good, and it's especially pretty good for 2007 when it first came out. So they started right in on Red Dragon Inn 2, because they already had 2 of the characters, and they just made 2 more. When I came on board, they were starting to plan the Red Dragon Inn 3. And there were also plans for what we called at the time the Red Dragon Inn 3.5. So that was single character expansions that ended up being the first 2, Pookie and Aaron. So those were all kind of worked on at the same time. From there, then we knew we had a franchise on our hands, and so then it was. For a while we tried to do a base set and 2 allies on alternating years. More recently, we've sometimes done a base set and an allies expansion in a year, and then maybe the off year has an allies expansion and something else like Battle for Greyport. That's sort of what we're planning for this year, but it's good you mentioned 8 box sets, because Red Dragon Inn 8 is in development right now. So
it's not 8. I guess I miscounted. I guess it'll be the best.
There's currently 7, but yes, we are We are working on 8, so don't worry.
I wasn't. So just a little tangent. At when the Allies started becoming a 2-deck boxes, was that only because of the player mats that have to go in there and size?
That was the main reason, yeah. So with the release of RDI 5, we wanted a big box that could hold everything, and we knew right from the get-go that keeping 30 or so of those big thick cardboard player mats was just going to be a non-starter, right? That's a massive brick of cardboard, heavy, unwieldy, makes the box bigger for no good reason. So we decided to do those cardstock player mats, but to make it more of a perk rather than a I don't know, like a downgrade, mm-hmm. Right? We made them we did that thing where we made them individualized for each character. So that ended up being pretty successful, and it means that instead of a giant brick of cardboard, it's just a deck that slides in one of the pockets in RDI 5. But yes, from that point, pretty much the main reason we did 2 character sets after that was because you can't fit this size player mat in this size box. And it turned out to be a really useful thing when we decided to do a crossover with our friends at Steve Jackson Games, because we wanted to do a Munchkin promo, and Munchkin promos are those bookmarks for the Munchkin game. So those fit just fine in our 2 ally set.
So to talk about the new decks, so I mean that 50 is a lot.
Yep.
I mean that's a lot, and then there's another 4 coming, plus whatever. What goes into creating a new deck? Like, do you start with maybe these mechanics would be fun? How do we work that, or do you just start with character first?
So for Red Dragon Inn, we mostly, although not always, we mostly do theme first design. Come up with who the character is, what they do, and then make some mechanics to match that. There have been a couple of exceptions, but because Red Dragon Inn is such a story-driven game, the times that we've done mechanics first design, the results have been not great. So yeah, we mostly do theme first. We mostly come up with a character, who they are, what they're like, why they're in the party. That's always an interesting one. We tend to have some discussions about, why is this person in the party? And of course, lately we've done, folks who aren't in the party, right? The wench doesn't go adventuring with them. So that one's a little less of a thing, but we try to talk about the character a bit. Then what we do is, so anyone who's gone through all of the Red Dragon Index knows that there's a lot the same about them, right? There's a lot, they all have, most of them have 6 gambling I'm in, 2 I raise, 2 winning hands, 2 wench brings some drinks. I don't think so. Tip the wench, right? The standard battery. Then in addition to that, they have a few, gambling mitigations, a few gold defense, a few fortitude defense, a few drink ignores. Usually about 7 or 8 I punch you attacks, right? They pick a player, they lose 2 fortitude. Now, I haven't done the math, but what I've just rattled off is like 36 cards or something like that, right? So then we add a few really unique, flavorful cards for each character. And then what we do is, okay, so we've got this list of, things that a Red Dragon Inn character is supposed to do. And then typically what we do is we say, okay, now pick 1 or 2 of those rules of the from the list and break them, right? Because that's what makes the character interesting. Sometimes we usually, in early development, we also decide whether a character is going to have a side mechanic or not. Some of our customers want complex characters with side mechanics, and some don't, which is why
when I play with people, if they haven't played, I use those player mats and I say, okay, these got extra, these don't, and that's always how they pick. They go for one or the other, and then this is whichever one they think's the prettiest.
Yep. No, and understanding how our players choose which character to play has given us great insight into the game and how to build it and how to sell it, how to market it to people, because we every once in a while someone will come up to us at a con and say, why are you still doing no side mechanic decks? Those are lame. Well, because about a quarter of our player base wants those, right? Another person came up to me and said, yeah, I love the simple mechanics because they're the characters that I can play when I'm too drunk to play the other ones.
It's interesting because when you were talking, I was thinking about how often it'll just come down to, is it late in the day or are we just starting? Just going into I do have another friend who will only play Pookie, which brings me to the question. There's a lot of Pookie already in Red Dragon Inn.
Yep.
I mean, got him with Zot, got him alone, and so why Evil Pookie other than someone just said, wouldn't it be great if Pookie was evil and put a little goatee on him?
Well, so the short answer is, yeah, Pookie is by far our most popular character. And when we wanted something, kind of special and fun, we conceived of this character, but not only the character and the deck, but we started thinking about mechanics that we could use with him, and we started even thinking about that promotional video that we released a few months ago for it, because I don't know, there was just something really funny to us about this, the drunk Joran and Pookie causing inadvertently causing mayhem, and summoning this other, this evil doppelganger of Pookie, who in turn is going to be summoning evil doppelgangers of some of our other characters. Spoiler alert. So yeah, that was it. We just as we came up with the idea, we knew that Pookie was popular, and we knew that we wanted to do something with that. But as we kept coming up with these, where did he come from? What does he do? The situation that led to him being in the tavern. We just thought this was too funny to pass up.
And so it is. I mean, regular Pookie is one of the simpler side mechanics as far as they go. Is Evil Pookie? Well, can you share any of his mechanics?
So there'll be more reveals in the Kickstarter, which is launching February 18th, by the way. But the short version is it's definitely a more complex character than Pookie himself. It is a little more on the advanced side, but it's I don't know, we think it's pretty fun. Basically, the short version is, and I can talk about this a bit because but people are already playtesting it,
right,
on Tabletop Simulator. The short version is some cards cause Evil Pookie to reveal a doppelganger, which is an evil projection of one of our other existing heroes. But each of those cards, well, most of those cards are split down the middle. The left side has an effect that Evil Pookie can use if he decides he wants to keep that doppelganger in front of him. The right side is an effect that happens if Evil Pookie decides that he wants to give it away to some other player in the game. So every one of these doppelgangers has an interesting choice. Do I keep it for me for this effect, or do I give it away for this other effect?
Oh, just to do a quick, just because I'm always curious. You got to pick one. Who's your go-to? The days when you're all in, you're not play testing, you're just busting out a game in the shop. Who are you
Just
going?
busting out a game. I think right now. So by the way, this changes all the time for me.
Right.
But I think right now, probably Ohava. But like I said, that changes a lot, and who's your favorite theme, who's your favorite art, who's your favorite mechanic, who's who's the favorite that you designed, who's your favorite that Sam designed. The answers to all of these are different. But if you were to hand me a box of everything right now and said, okay, we're playing, I'd probably pick Ohava.
And just like, how often do you still play?
I personally play a lot because we do two kinds of playtesting for Red Dragon Inn characters. The first is fun testing. We basically call it fun testing and balance testing. So fun testing is we go to our folks in the Discord channel. We say, hey, we've got a new build of Evil Pookie ready. Go in and try it. And they go and play it, and they give us feedback through a Google form. Then once we think things are working pretty well and people are having fun and it's, there aren't any blatant rules problems and things like that, then Sam Waller is my director of development. Sam Waller and I get onto Tabletop Simulator and we just grind 2-player games with the new characters. And we keep track of drink totals. So for example, if you and I are playing and I win, with a spread of 2, but you took 6 more alcohol than me from the drinks over the course of the game, well, you actually won that game, right? Even though the bits say that I won, you actually won that game. And that's actually, once you control for the drinks like that, then you're getting
I'm always going to keep that, and I'm always going to say that whenever I lose from now on. I feel like that is now a legitimate argument.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the way we end up having to balance characters is by, the best way to make sure the characters are balanced is by compensating for the fact that the drink deck is going to possibly treat us, unequally.
Right.
So yeah, I still play a lot.
Oh, it sounds all that. So I want to pivot slightly, because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who feels this way. I really like Battle for Greyport. It is. Sorry, I've lost my question here. And so I really enjoy it, and I know when it first launched there was some difficulty issues and balance and so on, but it never really caught on in the way clearly that Red Dragon has. Why do you think that is?
Well, you mentioned one of the reasons, which is the difficulty thing. So we did a bunch of internal playtesting, and the message we were getting back was that the difficulty was pretty good, and even that we had a couple sort of more hardcore groups who thought it was actually kind of too easy. But we ended up kind of miscalibrating the difficulty a little bit, and more importantly, the introductory scenario that was in there, the
interrupted party.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. We ended up favoring keeping the scenario short over keeping it simple. So in the interest of making sure it was a short demo that we could say run at a convention, we ended up turning the knob a little too far in the fast direction and making it a little more difficult. The internet kind of blew up with this is too hard. And related to that, there was also a lot of people saying, wait, what? There's no healing? Well, a lot of people thought that the no healing thing was a we just accidentally left it out of the rule book, right? So we didn't. We actually meant for there to be no healing. But when the comments started coming in and one of the comments included this about the healing, we realized that we actually had a fairly easy way to fix things. So we added, in between each building you're at, you get, if you want, you get a little bit of healing. And the beauty part about that change was if somebody actually liked the difficulty the way we made it in the first place, they could just set their healing to 0 and play what we now call hardcore mode. And it was essentially the same game as it was before we added this. So to get back to your question, why didn't it take off? Partly was that people thinking it was too hard. Partly it was that the game isn't funny, and unfortunately, some of the target audience was like, oh, this is an actual sit down serious thinky game. Pass, right? So that was part of it. And yeah, it's we like to think that maybe some of it also was due to the fact that it came out at the exact same convention that they rolled out the Harry Potter cooperative deck building game. Now, would we have competed? Are they really poaching the same customers that we are? Maybe not. I don't know, but it makes us feel better to know that, oh man, we got scooped by Harry Potter. Okay, well, sorry?
It's Snape's fault.
Yes. That said, the game has been a success. We printed 10,000 copies of it, and I believe we've sold about 8,500 of them. So it's been a good run. It certainly isn't the runaway hit that Red Dragon Inn was, but we made a bit of money on it. Not a Pacific Island sort of amount of money, but it's been pretty good. And yeah, I kind of like that game too, but who knows? Maybe there's a sleeper cell of customers just waiting to buy and play that game.
Well, I think what you should really do is do a big old huge live stream of everyone in the office, and you set it up. You play your Grapple for Greyport, then you go into your Red Dragon with the same characters, and then every time you get to gambling, you go to another table and play Gambling I'm In. And do that as a... I don't know what to do it for. But I
suspect that somebody out there has already tried that, but yeah.
Yeah. But on the same note, every time there's a Kickstarter, I always ask. But any more? Are there plans for continuing to expand Battle for Greyport with heroes and villains on the same vein of they come in other Red Dragon boxes, or perhaps another expansion for it, or is it just kind of filler not filler, but bonuses on occasion?
So the short answer is we have no particular plans for more Battle for Greyport stuff right now. The longer answer is never say never, right? As you backed the Smorgasbox, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so as you may have noticed on the comments to that Kickstarter campaign, there were
angry people on those comments.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who were basically like, "Don't make me buy anything I don't want." Unfortunately, for a lot of people, more Battle for Greyport content counts as that. So the problem is, are we gonna add more Battle for Greyport content into Red Dragon Inn boxes? Probably not, because Smorgasbox. Are we going to make new products just for Battle for Greyport? Again, I'm not sure the audience is. I mean, I know some of you are, right? But yeah, we've talked a bit about ways to maybe get some more content out that doesn't take us a long time to, art or test or whatever. But even the Pirates expansion was a ton of art, a ton of play testing. Yeah, and so like I said, we've made money on Battle for Greyport. We lost money on Pirates. So overall, the franchise as a whole has been has been profitable, but just barely. Let's put it that way.
So I already mentioned at the beginning how much I enjoyed the universe, and you talked about how story driven the world is, which I always think is really fascinating because other than, I don't know, 4 short stories or something that you have on the website, there is no written story. Yet,
Right.
if you read all the flavor text, there is just so much story. And as I said at the beginning, I've been, and I'm sure lots of us have been saying, oh, it'd be so much fun to have a dungeon crawl. And you told me at Origins that there is one coming. I know it is a thing.
Yep.
And so my question is, what finally prompted you guys to do it? Because that's a big undertaking.
Yep.
It's a lot of assets, a lot of cardboard, a lot of everything.
Yep. And yeah, we're still a little worried about, are we going to find enough of an audience to make a big box game, like that work? Yeah, we don't know. But what convinced us to finally do it is finding a build, finding mechanics that we liked enough. So the dirty little secret of this project is we've been working on a Red Dragon and Dungeon Crawl off and on for like 6 years now. It's been a huge project. We've gone through multiple different iterations of the design. We've brought in outside designers even to try new things. We've thrown it all out and started over like 3 times. It's been a weird process, honestly. We finally found a mechanic system that we like. It's essentially Red Dragon Inn characters, some Gloomhaven-y sorts of mechanics, but not the Euro-y mechanic of like picking cards and picking 2 cards and put that down. No, we're not doing that. It's more like just sort of tactical. Run around on a hex board and stab monsters sort of thing. Yes, there are dice. So if the reason you love Gloomhaven is because you hate dice, then Tales from the Red Dragon Inn isn't going to be a game for you. But if what you like is story and sort of light, run around and fight monsters, then yeah, Tales is for you. Now, you were talking about the stories on our website. So yeah, there's a handful of them, as you know. I think it's more than 4, but I don't actually remember. So several of those were written by Jeff Batone, who is a founding member of Slugfest Games, who is now off doing other things, but he's back helping us with Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. So he's actually helping us with level design, and he's written all the stories. So right now there are 25 scenarios in this box, and before and after each one, like in Gloomhaven, it's kind of a story before and sort of before and after each one. But in our case, it's more of a story. It's closer to like the stuff you see on our website than the sort of, you go down to the sewers and there's rats and kill them. So yeah, that's all really, really coming along nicely. And yeah, we're excited about this. And yes, you can play GOG.
Yeah, well, I'm allowed to back it now. I'm not if I can't. But I kind of want to circle back to one of the things that you singled out as well. One of the challenges from Battle for Greyport of that not being funny. Is there a conscious effort to bring that lightness and humor and mix it with the adventure?
Yes. Short answer is yes. The scenarios. So again, another way in which we're departing from Gloomhaven is there really isn't much branching in the story. There's one place where you can pick which way you want to go, but you do still need to eventually do all the stories, and you mostly do them in order. So it's sort of more along the lines of a game like Stuffed Fables than a game like Gloomhaven. But the stories themselves are mostly funny, although we do get pretty epic at the end. So there's it's funny, but over the course of the 25 game campaign, it sort of goes from the silly and funny bit to a little more serious, but with some good punchlines at the end. There's a couple of scenarios in the game that are really funny and kind of absurd right from the ground level. Right. So yes, that we think that part, the stories are mostly done. Right now we're doing level design, actual like hex maps and what monsters go where and what their abilities are. And right now we're doing all that hard work, but the stories are basically done and they're funny and they're great and we love them.
And so I was going to ask a little bit about the mechanics, but you've already spoken to a little bit. But you did mention the dice. Is this I'm really about to get nerdy here for a second. Is it like a dice pooling where you get your different colored dice and you get the bad guys dice, or is it more of a enemies have set stats and you just deal with them, or what kind of thing is it?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot in that question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. So short version is monsters generally do fixed damage to players. Players do variable damage to monsters depending on dice rolls. Monsters, you know how in Gloomhaven the first thing you do in a round is once everybody's put up their cards, you flip up the monster cards to determine what each monster type is going to do that round.
Yeah.
We got the same thing except it's dice based. Each monster type has, usually 3 different scripts that they follow, and you roll a d6 for the monsters where I believe it's 1 face of one kind, 2 faces of the next, and 3 faces of the third. So, so what they do is more likely to be this, but it might also be this or this, right? So that's what the monsters do is random dice based. Hero damage to monsters is dice based, and there is a mechanic whereby in certain cases I can cause a die to get banked for the next guy to use instead. But yeah, that's roughly how the dice work.
That's what I was looking for as I was thinking of a game like Descent. You're making multiple dice pools and then you're rolling them both, and then sometimes absolutely nothing happens and you've rolled 50 dice.
We did it. We tried a version that was kind of like that. We didn't like it. So
it speaks to a heavier. The reason I asked is because it helps people who know Dungeons & Dragons kind of gauge where in the level of crunch it's going to be. Thank you for indulging me on that.
Yeah, no, we're trying to. It is a hex based run around and fight monsters, but ultimately we're trying to be a little on the lighter side of those kinds of games.
And I think I already know the answer, because I think from the beginning, as you said, you think that Gog and Eve were the original, the 5th and 6th. Is that why those are the 5th and 6th characters in the dungeon crawl?
So, not exactly. We knew we wanted the original 4. We knew we wanted we knew we wanted more than 4 characters. So the game is rated 2 to 4. By the time we ship it, maybe there will also be a 1-player variant, or maybe it will just be you play 2 characters. We don't know yet. But we knew it had to. We knew from Battle for Greyport that we didn't want to try to make it playable for 5, because actually in Battle for Greyport, the 4 to 5 transition was actually really hard to get right, and it gets even harder when you're on a fixed map, right? We didn't want to have to do multiple maps based on the player count. So we decided we wanted, 2 to 4, maybe 1 to 4. We also knew that we didn't want, in a 4-player game, to, for everybody to have to take, we didn't want there to only be 4 characters for people to choose from, right? So then we went through and, okay, the obvious 4 are the 4 from Red Dragon and 1. The next 2 we thought really should be 2 from Red Dragon and 2. But then we decided, actually not based on anything, related to the original development of the game, but rather which ones would be the most interesting to play. So we seriously considered Dimly, but decided Gog would be more fun. They're both kind of, in the party, they're both kind of beaters, right? They're both kind of just DPS kind of guys, right? And we thought Gog would be the more fun version of that, especially for all these stories we were writing on the side. Then honestly, the main reason we decided on Eve was, number 1, they gave us 3 males and 3 females, and number 2, we thought of the supporty character, right? Even Fleck are both kind of supporty party members,
right?
But we, just of the mechanics and ideas that we brainstormed for each of them, we thought Eve would be more interesting. So that's why.
Great. And just to say again, thank you for putting Gog in there, because I'm never gonna get to play Gog. I'm happy that he exists. So you already said February 14th for Evil Pookie, and I know development's going on, but roughly when can we see, those who don't come to Gen Con, when can we see Tales?
So February 18th.
Oh, 18th. Excuse me, February 18th.
Yeah, sorry. February 18th is the Kickstarter for Evil Pookie. We are hoping to have the game in stores by like an October, November-ish time frame. We're not 100% on that. It's looking right now, because Evil Pookie is actually a pretty art-heavy character. It looks like we probably won't have it for sale at Gen Con, although we probably will have it to try at Gen Con this year. As for Tales, as you know, we demoed it last year at Gen Con. We're hoping to demo it also at a couple of other cons this year. We're not sure exactly which ones yet, but we're doing that. It is in beta in our playtest server right now. So if you want to try it, join our playtest group on Discord. All you need is Discord and Tabletop Simulator, and you too can try this game. But in terms of when will it actually be out? Well, the current plan, and this is nowhere near definite yet, we're hoping to kickstart it late this year, and have it physically exist sometime middle of next year. That's as good as you can get. That's as good as you're getting right now. Sorry.
And I appreciate that you're not claiming that the Chinese New Year is not going to affect you.
Oh yeah, no. So, I mean, and in fact, we've there are delays going on right now related to both Chinese New Year and coronavirus, and it means that we just recently unexpectedly ran out of Red Dragon Inn 1 about a month earlier than expected. So there is more being printed right now in China, but between the selling out about a month earlier than we expected and the troubles going on in China, unfortunately that might be out of stock for a month or two.
Well, I say because that's always the you always know the people, the developers that are or publishers that are new to Kickstarter when they say, oh no, Chinese New Year, that's not going to affect us at all. We're fine. And everyone, we always roll our eyes. No, it's going to affect you. It always happens. But
yeah.
I just got two more quick questions. The one, so I know Slugfest has some other titles, totally not related to Red Dragon, but going forward, where does Slugfest go from here? Clearly, you're going to be tied up with Tales, and if the winds up being a hit, like Red Dragon, that's going to be a thing. But where do you go from here?
So what we're working on this year, in addition to Red Dragon Inn stuff, is we actually do have a couple of games that are in development that came to us from outside designers and are not Red Dragon Inn themed, and we're not. So Battle for Greyport was an outside design that came to us that we put the Red Dragon Inn on top of. Gotcha. We're intentionally not doing that with these other two games that we're working on, because we love Red Dragon Inn. We know customers love Red Dragon Inn. Red Dragon Inn's not going to last forever. So we're looking to diversify and make sure to get back to not just being the Red Dragon Inc. Because 10 years ago, before Red Dragon Inn got really huge, we were a multi-title company, and now we're kind of we call ourselves the Red Dragon Inc. Right. So we are also developing a couple of titles. We're hoping to kickstart at least one of those this year, and see where that goes. So partly it's that we're trying to diversify the Slugfest brand and diversify our audience, and partly it's to make sure that we can actually succeed at something other than the Red Dragon Inn, because we have a good audience who we think plays things other than just the Red Dragon Inn, and so yeah. The downside, of course, is that means that we're kind of in the scrum, if you will, of the 1,000 new games that come out every year at Gen Con. So we'll see. Maybe we're hoping that our existing fan base will be enough to give us a bit of a leg up in that, but time will tell.
And then, so just my last one, when you're not working and playing Slugfest games, what are you playing?
When I'm playing Slugfest stuff, or
not Slugfest?
Oh, not Slugfest. Yeah. Okay.
You can't pick any Slugfest titles. Nothing you're developing. What are you playing?
What I'm playing lately. So I have a Wednesday game night at my house, and we're actually. I can only think of once or twice in the 20 years that I've been hosting games night that we've actually played the Red Dragon Inn. So where my crowd is actually sort of a light strategy, light to heavy strategy, sort of Euro-y kind of crowd. So last night we played Altiplano, which is a great game. I like things like Yokohama, Heaven and Ale. So, but Yokohama and Heaven and Ale are both games that I bought almost at random and are great. What else? I like things like Scythe, Terraforming Mars. I do that kind of stuff, the sort of light to heavy Euro-y strategy stuff, which probably sounds weird coming from the president of Slugfest Games, but there it is.
Oh, well, now everybody knows. Well, now the real thing will be is there a run on Heaven and Ale Altiplano? Well, Scythe's already selling like crazy.
Right.
When this comes out, you better reach out and say, you can send me some residuals for.
Give me a kickback. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm a big Red Dragon fanboy anyway, but I really appreciate taking the time to just kind of talk through some of these things because it's very interesting to me and a lot of people of how designers, where is it coming from, where are you going, and the struggles are, well, struggles for you, but good to hear on this side because we just see successful Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter over and over. So I know everyone really appreciates it. But before I let you go, anything else you want to share with everybody?
Just check out Evil Pookie on Kickstarter February 18th, and thanks for watching.
All right, thank you.